Well, welcome back to my channel. My name is Joanne. I hope you're all doing well. Well, today we're going to another little bit of a rant because Scomo has backed Gladys for a seat in federal politics, despite the fact she has just been investigated for corruption. See, when I say that if you want to get anywhere in the government, you've got to be corrupt, and you got to do horrible things, because that seems to be how they seem to get places. I also want to Cleo Smith Abductor face court again today. There's a guy in Canberra that actually has begged the judge to put him away. I want to look at that. I want to look at some members of the community crossed the border from Northern Territory into Western Australia, and they were fined $4,500. Yes, they are from a remote community. I'm not sure where they're supposed to get that money from. However, they've been fined by the Western Australian government. So I want to talk about. So there's a few things to talk about tonight. I still don't have a lot. Wow. Maybe the Fox, your mate, needs to go and become a member of the LNP. So that seems to be what's happening today. I'm just I'm lost for words, actually. So, and we don't even know what ICAC is. Now, I have to tell you that Chris Bowen, someone was at the press club today, and he has summed up. I couldn't say it any better. So we're going to watch his snippet about what he thinks about it all, where he blasted the Prime Minister. Lots of people blasted the Prime Minister for this. Oh, dear. So let's have a look. So she's back. I mean, we joked that she would probably go, that, she was probably fit enough to go into federal politics, but it looks like Scomo wants her. All right. Hello, Keynote. So Morrison says former New South Wales Premier are very welcomed in his team and calls the anti-corruption inquiry shameful. So it's shameful. It's shameful that she's been investigated for corruption. All right. Thanks, Scomo. Scott Morrison senior coalition members have doubled down on appeals for the former New South Wales Premier, Gladys Berejiklian, to run for the seat of Warringah. Hey, Rufus. On Monday, Morrison told reporters in Sydney that Berejiklian would be very welcome. Hi, Race Goose. Scomo wants her, not sure you want to be a man on. That's true. Would be a great candidate for the independent held seat. Comments backed earlier by Finance Minister Simon Birmingham and Environment Minister Susan Ley. Berejiklian faced a grilling at the New South Wales Independent Commission Against Corruption in November over whether she failed to report a reasonable suspicion of corruption by her secret boyfriend, the former Wagga Wagga MP Daryl Maguire. Nominations for the Liberal Party candidacy in Warringah have been extended to the 14th of January. Funny that. A timeline which will allow Berejiklian to consider any recommendations for findings made in submissions by council assisting ICAC by the 20th of December. The submissions will not be public. Despite the ongoing ICAC controversy, Berejiklian will walk into a Liberal nomination if she decided to put her hand up. Very good point. So if ICAC is not worth it, then Eddie Obeid, who was investigated by the same thing and ended up facing criminal charges, he's innocent then, if we want to use Scomo's thing. Morrison is particularly keen to recruit Berejiklian as the best possible chance to recapture the blue ribbon Warringah from independent MP Zali Steggall at the 2022 election in a bid to retain a majority government. Berejiklian's position has shifted from a hard no to a maybe. A senior federal Liberal source said Berejiklian's appeal was cross-factional and she had 150% support across the party, which is keen to keep the door ajar for her. I don't think the issue is linked to ICAC because it won't have reported by, which is part of the problem. If Berejiklian decides not to run, the next best contender is understood to be Jane Bunkle, a Sydney barrister and a Manly resident. After announcing a recycling advertisement initiative in Wentworth, Morrison told reporters the way Berejiklian has been treated was shameful. And I'm sorry I don't congratulate people that are caught being corrupt. If she ever wanted to join our team, she'd be very welcome. I have no doubt that Gladys, whatever Gladys sets her mind to, she'll be a great success. Asked about the fact Berejiklian is being investigated for whether she turned a blind eye to suspected corruption and breached her own ministerial standards, Morrison says, I don't agree. There is no suggestion of criminal conduct by Gladys Berejiklian, none whatsoever. We have seen recordings of private conversations, detailed intimate things that were paraded around in the media. What was that about? Was that shaming Gladys Berejiklian? I thought that was awful. Recordings of phone calls between Berejiklian and Maguire were played at the New South Wales ICAC hearing to test her assertion that she did not have reasonable suspicion he was engaged in corrupt conduct, which would have required her to report the matter to ICAC. Berejiklian says she has always acted with integrity and denies any claims she failed to report suspected corrupt behaviour by Maguire. Gladys was put in a position of actually having to stand down, and there was no findings of anything, Morrison said, in advance of any possible findings by ICAC. Berejiklian resigned voluntarily in September. I don't call that justice. I call that a pylon. Berejiklian is a person of great integrity. If she wants to have a crack at Warringah, for the Liberal Party, I suspect the people would welcome that in Warringah. We let the people decide. The Labor leader, Anthony Albanese, said he was not going to comment on the outcomes of ICAC, but public hearings were there for all to see. I think people should allow those processes to take their course, he said, labelling the speculation about the Liberal candidacy as absurd and an obsession by the media. Albanese said the people of Warringah had rejected Tony Abbott because of his policies. It doesn't matter who the candidate is. The policies of climate denialism, the lack of funding for universities, the lack of support for TAFE, the failure on health, the failure on so many policy areas, the failure to have an anti-corruption commission at the national level will not be assisted no matter who the candidate is. Shadow Climate Change Minister Chris Bowen said Morrison's attack on ACAC in Parliament in November were disgusting and undermined every single inquiry, investigation and finding ICAC has brought down. The ICAC is not a smorgasbord in which you can pick off the findings you like and reject the findings you don't, Bowen told the National Press Club on Monday. I've got that footage. We're going to watch that footage. The ICAC is a statutory independent body and should not be undermined by the most senior politician in the country when we don't like the fact one of our own has been brought into question. Bowen said a Labor Premier under investigation would not get a leave pass from the media or opposition, and warned Berejiklian won't get a leave pass from us if she runs. Bowen said a Labor Premier earlier, Birmingham told the ABC's News Breakfast he would love to see Berejiklian run, but it was entirely her call. Birmingham acknowledged the issues she's handled at present with respect to ICAC, but argued she had shown exceptional great leadership in public office and great integrity. Haven't we just since discovered that she ignored health advice? I think it's pretty sad when ICACs go out and destroy reputations, do so in pretty murky ways, looking into relationships and other stuff. Leigh told the ABC she would love to see Berejiklian in federal parliament because she's an outstanding female representative. She's been a model premier when it comes to New South Wales and the coronavirus, Leigh said. Leigh said the ICAC process will take its course and I don't want to comment on that process. She said her constituents were horrified by what they perceived as public shaming and bear-jiggling. A lot of people reached out to me directly to actually say, what is happening to our Premier who has done so much for us? And they were quite angry on her behalf. Sorry, I shouldn't laugh, but... Oh, dear me. So, from what I can work out, if it's a Labor, someone from Labor, it's wrong. But if it's someone from the LNP, it's okay. Right, I think I got it. So here it is, Chris Bowen at the National Press Club. Addressing this. It's pretty good. I mean, I couldn't put it any better myself.
Firstly, the Prime Minister's attack on the ICAC on the floor of the Parliament. I've seen few more disgusting displays on the floor of the Parliament than that. The ICAC is not a smorgasbord in which you can pick off the findings you like and reject the findings you don't like. The ICAC is a statutorily independent body which should be respected, not undermined by the most senior politician in the country. Respected and protected by politicians, not undermined when they don't happen to like the fact that one of their own has been brought into question. I welcome the fact that former members of the Labor Party who've been corrupt have been dealt with in ICACs. If you're corrupt, you betray the Australian people and you betray your party and the people who put you into Parliament. You deserve to be dealt with and you deserve to be jailed if appropriate. And we welcome ICAC looking at people in the Labor Party. We don't deflect. We don't criticise the ICAC for doing so. We support their work and defend them and protect them. It is absolutely outrageous that the Prime Minister of the day has undermined the ICAC and therefore not just undermined their work on Gladys Berejiklian, but undermined every single inquiry and investigation and finding that the ICAC has brought down. That's what the Prime Minister has effectively done. Undermine the ICAC as a whole and all the state and territory-based similar bodies, frankly, because they're all independently statutory-based. When you attack the New South Wales ICAC, you're therefore, by implication, attacking all of them. And for the Prime Minister to do that because one of his own has been attacked was not befitting the office of Prime Minister. That's the first point. Secondly, I invite you to reflect on what would be said by you and by the Liberal Party if a Labor Premier under investigation by ICAC who had to resign was contemplating a move to the Federal Parliament. I do not believe that will get a leave or a free pass from you, it shouldn't, or from the government, the Liberal or National Party. It won't get a leave pass from us. Now, if they want to run Gladys Berejiklian for Warringah, that's a matter for her and for them. If they expect a leave pass for a Premier who's been under investigation by the ICAC, they won't be getting one.
There you go. Hey, what do you reckon? I think he was a little bit fired up there, wasn't he? He was a little bit fired up. But he's right. He's right. She shouldn't get a leave pass. And she shouldn't be able... what happens... Here's the thing. What happens if she runs and, so they're saying the investigation won't be handed down. What if she runs, she gets pre-selection, and then ICAC brings in their findings and determines her to be dodgy? What are they going to do then? See, people quite often only look at the little box in front of them. They don't look at the big picture. But I think Starlee Zegel, I think she's very popular in her seat of Warringah anyway. I think I'm sure she could deal with Gladys. Well, that's a really good point. Roast. Are they possibly defending and supporting her since they want to appear more friendly to women? Well, it's interesting. That could possibly be the case, but that's not... How do you get over the fact that she's been investigated by ICAC? So I just don't know. I don't know how that works. Wouldn't you? Someone's just put on here. If Berejiklian runs in Warringah every single day would have a reference to corruption and pork barrelling. It's a campaign that writes itself. Can't believe the Liberals are even considering her as an option. Could you imagine, though? Could you imagine the campaign that you could launch against her, though? Just based on pure facts. Now, the other thing is, could she be referred to ICAC, or is there a body that she could be referred to for ignoring the medical advice and having COVID, the Delta strain, spread into all the states and New Zealand? Could she still have to answer that? Because we know, and we've seen the evidence of the advice that was given, and it's been done in Parliament, in the Senate committee. Then how is she not being held responsible for all the people that have died and for the spread of COVID around the country? So somebody else asked here, which is a very good question. Yeah, well, and New Zealand. I mean, here's a really good question. If Gladys Berejiklian didn't think it was appropriate to remain as Premier of New South Wales while facing a corruption investigation, why would she feel she can serve the Commonwealth as an MP? And someone says the PM wants to hold on to power even if it causes a headache after he wins. Hello. I mean, and the other thing is, she could have just resigned as Premier and stayed on the backbench. Or she could have stood aside while it was done. But no, she chose to resign. That was her choice. No one forced her to resign. So a lot of the ministers have expressed support. So this is some information. So the Liberals lost Warringah for the first time at the 2019 election when Ms Steggall, a former Olympic skier, won the seat, defeating Tony Abbott, former Prime Minister. Heading into the 2022 election, both sides believe the election will be patchy because of the pandemic's varying effect on the states and territories and will come down to a hand-to-hand combat in certain seats. The coalition needs to hold all of its 75 seats and pick up at least one more to govern in its own right, while offsetting anticipated losses in WA and Victoria. Hello, Robin. Labor heads into the election with a notional 69 seats, meaning it would need to win another 7 to form a majority government. So the prediction is Victoria and WA are going to decimate the Libs. The opposition is hoping to make integrity an election issue as the government's commitment to establish a federal corruption watchdog continues. Not clear yet when the ICAC will finish its investigation, but Ms Berejiklian has until next month to decide. But yes, so it's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens. So they're anticipating huge losses in WA and Victoria. Hopefully Joshy Boy will lose his seat. Well, Hunt's going, so that's another one gone. Tony Smith is gone. Just trying to think of all the Victorian politicians, all the Victorian Libs that are going. So, but it's funny that Susan Ley hasn't talked about all the people that said that they were glad that she'd gone. she oh dear. You don't think Josh has much? I think Josh is gone. Who says Australian politics? I know politics. Everyone tells me it's boring. It depends what you look at. I like to think I bring excitement into it. You know. So the next article involves child SA. So I'm just going to give you a trigger warning. So we've got a man that has asked the judge to jail him, despite the fact sentencing hasn't occurred. He wants to be locked away. So former Ainsley Football Club coach Stephen Porter sends himself to jail to start his sentence on child SA. Yes, he said to the judge, "Put me away." So he's been committed, who committed against 3 boys, has sent himself to jail. He pleaded guilty to the offences, but is disputing some of the aspects of the charges. He was initially charged with multiple offences and pleaded guilty to 3 of them this year. They include grooming a child, using a child to create child exploitation, and maintaining a relationship with a child under 12 between 2015 and 2018. Now, the court is yet to rule on his version of events, and he's not due to be sentenced until February. In the meantime, he has been set free in the community on bail. But on Monday, he asked the ACT Supreme Court to send him to prison so he could start the clock on his sentence, saying he believed he would be spending the time in jail. Justice Clarissa Lucas Carlson agreed, "It is inevitable a sentence of full-time imprisonment will be imposed," she said. "Revoking his bail rights is the right thing to do." 2 correction officers took him away. The charge of maintaining a relationship with a child carries a maximum penalty of 25 years in the ACT if it involves more than one act. Although he's pleaded guilty, he's still disputing details of his offences. And in earlier hearings, the boy described to the court how Porter groomed him, and he began doing Australian rules football training with him. So Porter has denied some of the boy's allegations. Now, I guess the fact of him going to jail now, he will argue that he's already served time when the sentence comes down. He will be asking that the time served will be taken into account. So it's really, really interesting that he didn't want to be put out. He didn't want to be put on bail. He wanted to be put straight to jail. Now, I've got mixed reactions about this next one. This one has got me a little bit riled up, a little bit. So we've got remote communities. We know that remote communities, they travel. And remote communities can be over the border. Well, apparently living in a remote community on one side of the border to the other means nothing. So this is a WA magistrate has acknowledged that Aboriginal people do not recognise state borders when travelling on traditional lands, describing it as their way of life, but that COVID-19 travel restrictions must be obeyed to protect their remote communities. This is why I've got mixed feelings about this, because they do travel to their traditional lands and they don't recognise borders. I can understand the concern about COVID-19. However, I'm really baffled by it. A group of 5 adults who last month used back roads to avoid a police checkpoint and crossed into Western Australia from the Northern Territory have received a combined fine of $4,400. I don't know how they're going to pay for it. The group faced the Kalgoorlie Magistrates Court today and each pleaded guilty to failing to comply with a direction under the Emergency Management Act. Police said they travelled from Docker River in the NT and crossed the WA border on November 20. They were arrested in Kalgoorlie 4 days later without G2G passes after travelling through the remote communities of Warburton, Cosmos, Newbury and Laverton. On November 25, Mona Kalma and Amanda Ward were granted bail to quarantine with their children, aged 3 and 7, at a Kalgoorlie hotel. 3 men, 62-year-old, a 39-year-old and 23-year-old were remanded and served out their quarantine at the Eastern Goldfields Regional Prison. Mr. Ward, who crossed the border twice by travelling from his home of Warburton to Docker River and back, received the single biggest fine of $900. Alva Stokes from the Aboriginal Legal Service of WA said the group are used to travelling freely between communities and there was a lack of understanding about border restrictions. My client, Mr. Joseph, finds it very hard to understand due to lack of education, Mr. Stokes told the court. He later added police need to be educating people in the lands about crossing the border. Magistrate Genevieve Cleary said she understands the cultural significance of the remote region, but said the group must follow WA's border laws. I accept they're used to travelling between the Northern Territory and the lands in WA. There's not necessarily a border to Mr. Joseph, but the fact is there is a border. We can't treat them more harshly because of that. It is unusual circumstances, and because of that, I will issue a lesser fine than those for normal breaches. In an earlier hearing, well, that is true, Bruce the COVID poo. That is correct. In an earlier hearing, Magistrate Cleary said while the group had initially tested negative for COVID-19, Aboriginal communities would be seriously jeopardised if they were released on bail and subsequently became infectious. This may be unfair. It's their traditional lands, and they are people who have moved freely between the communities in the past, she said. The protection of the community is paramount with no fixed address, no place to go. The risk of not complying during the quarantine period is high. So there you go. So what are your thoughts? Should there be more education to people living in the remote communities? Should they be going in and explaining to them or taking in some of the elders? Well, there's been no issue getting the vaccine into remote areas. That's correct. So I'm really, as I said, I'm really torn about it because I understand from their perspective they don't have borders. Well, that's what the article said, but is that what the article said? I don't know whether that's what the article has said, that they were doing it to avoid police, or whether that's what... or whether that's what they said. I don't know. It wasn't clear, but they did use back roads. I don't know how long the trip would have taken them. See, that's all the information we don't have. So Cleo Smith Abductor was faced court again today as well. So he was facing court in he's in Perth, facing a Carnarvon court. So the man of abducting 4-year-old Cleo Smith is due to make his second court appearance. He is not expected to appear in Carnarvon Magistrates Court, but rather via video link from Casuarina Maximum Security Prison in Perth. So he's transferred there the day after. It'd be his second court appearance. It's just another mention. It's just one of those ones that is they have a massive, was found. So he's still not required to enter a plea to the child stealing charge. Or he was not required to enter a plea. And he did not apply for bail. So that's at least one thing. Today's scheduled court appearance is expected to be brief, and because it's still very early stages in the court proceedings, it is not expected that he'll be required to enter a plea to the 2 charges he's facing. But he's in Perth, and the court is being held in Carnarvon. And I think, and I don't know, but it would be probably because they've got maximum security, and you need to get him away from the area. Would be what, I don't know what the reasoning would be. So, alrighty. So, all right, let's get to our favorite YouTuber. So today was all about, guess who she talked about all day today. It's funny because she was talking about how, I shouldn't say it's funny, always rejoice no matter the situation. Part of mindfulness is trying to see the good in it. I know I'd love to see her cuddle Bobby the robot cat. So thumbnail cachet does not lie. And then she's got, so we're going to get educated. But mindfulness is about, changing your mindset from bad things happening to us to going, well, I'm going, Cal, you've just arrived in time for KJ. I've done all this other stuff and you've arrived right in time for KJ. So inappropriate smiling is commanded by the IPLP, apparently. Leaders falsely said that God commands that people rejoice no matter the situation, apparently. So, and of course, people are quoting Bible scripture, of course. So, again, it won't be a really long stream. So this is she's talking about the evidence, had evidence that it once contained the most horrific content on the internet, apparently. This is according to KJ. This is the gospel according to KJ. I'm not going to read it because it's pretty gross. But, someone says, enjoy what's left of the weekend with your son and retake your job on Monday. So this is how she spent her weekend. And now she's talking about Stand for Life. What about the lives of the child victims? So you cannot be pro-life and then disregard the lives once they're born. So she's on about Peter Scully's Daisy Destruction and CSAM and all of that sort of stuff. Really pro-life. What about the bait? And then she talks about your daughters were not protected, but we're not protected. So she's going on about that again. Katie, I love your channel. When I discovered it on YouTube, I hope the jury sees through the efforts of the defense to create reasonable doubt. Branding someone a pedo for the rest of our lives is a very grave matter, but the reasonable doubt that these experienced defense lawyers are trying to create is lame. I think that Josh really believes that with enough money he can beat the charges, but there's only so much that can be done. The thing is they have to show reasonable doubt. Well, yeah, I had done Gladys. And Scotty. That there is a lot of chat at the moment about what effect this narrative could have. And I said it last night, and I'll say it again. If I was Josh Duggar's lawyers, I would be screenshotting this because and stating that there is a media bias. And then this is a request. So this is what I'm talking about, her doubling down. I'm making a request. Please stop sending me body language videos about Josh and Anna Duggar. Anyone that knows me knows that I do not buy into anyone claiming to be a body language expert. Nor do I buy into their speculative beliefs about how Anna and Josh are feeling about each other or the case. Body language is not scientific or exact. There are millions of reasons we move the way we do. It's not reliable as an indicator as to how we feel. I don't want to discuss what psychics, body language, or any other woo expert thinks about this case. I have sources that can tell me how they are feeling. Anna believes that Josh is innocent. She believes everything he tells her. That's all you need to know. Wowzers! And then someone says, didn't mean to get a whole post. So sorry. Saw a post analysing their body language. I had to laugh and then couldn't figure out how he had over 600,000 followers. Well, I do that with Katie Joy as well. I wonder how she's got her 190. I may have been one of those people, my bad. She's got everyone apologising to her. Body language experts are used in court. See, someone says he's a body language expert and his wife was raised the same way as the Duggars, and his analysis was spot on. Have you seen how many IBLP and IFB were in the comments of that video? I realise you don't take anyone raised IFB's point of view, nor do your fans, just your sources. People sent you something you could find interesting or helpful with the case, especially when it comes to Anna. Because as much as you say you know and understand how she was raised, you're all dog on her all the time. I will say it again and again and again. If you weren't raised that way, you will never understand. Then someone says, though I thought it was fascinating. Also, not that hard to decipher as a non-expert. I don't think so either, but I've met so many people who are either obsessed with the Duggars or the IBLP, IFB religion. And they're like, oh, it's cute. And she was shy, not expecting it, and embarrassed, just like any other girl. And growing up funding myself, no, there's a lot more to it. I remember growing up, I was loud, extroverted, tomboy with my friends, but once a boy came around, we were trained to click that off and be meek, shy, and let the boys speak or whatever. And watching that clip totally took me back to moments like that. I grew up in a church like that. So she's got people that have grown up in that are saying that it was spot on, and she's dismissing them. I'm a casual viewer of your page, so miss a lot, but I've definitely been feeling more and more off-put by the tone of your messages to your followers. Sure, I don't know every little thing that's going on, but the vibe I've been getting is rudeness, like you're doing everyone some huge favour and are irritated with feedback or suggestions. The same people you're directing this to are the ones following you daily. At a minimum, the others who happen upon it are left with a pretty negative view of you and your page as a whole. Someone says, you'd be annoyed too if you're receiving the amount of DMs, emails, and messages Kate gets daily. She works hard at her content and is dealing in a very difficult case and has to constantly research and verify the information she gets. Personally, I don't envy her at all and can understand why she gets annoyed. This is her full-time job. It's overwhelming at times. So many people send in the same thing, and then someone says, this is a common pattern with her. Go off, block people who disagree in comments, apologise once she loses followers, then back in the cycle again. Part of the reason I watch, because Katie can be blunt and sassy. Maybe that doesn't work for everyone. This is a tough case. So Yeah. So anyway, so she doesn't want people telling her, because then here we go. She wants no drama. I'm seeing an increased number of emails, DMs, and comments about other people's drama surrounding me. Here's what I have to say. I don't care what people say about me. I don't watch videos people make about me. So sending me messages thinking I need to know what someone says isn't helpful. What people think about me is irrelevant to my reporting. Hang on, didn't she say that Emily D. Baker was an idiot? I don't care if everyone on YouTube doesn't like me. It doesn't change my reporting or job, but you're not a reporter. I also have nothing negative to say about anyone. Didn't you say that Emily D. Baker was an idiot? Drama isn't interesting to me. I'm interested in reporting. If you care that so-and-so said something mean about me, I don't. I left high school over 20 years ago. There is no beef or drama with Amy Duggar King. There is nothing to share or report. If you want to know anything, that she needs love and support. She isn't involved in this trial. Josh and Jim Bob lied to her. She didn't know and wasn't aware about any abuse until it went public in 2015. Keep the drama to yourself. People search for you because of those immature YouTubers talking smack about you. And then those who've searched you either follow you or they don't. It's literally pathological that people have entire channels just about her. Their fixation is unreal. I talk about this stuff to my therapist because occasionally I get caught in the middle. And she's just like, these people need help or a new hobby. My therapist, who's a licensed psychologist, actually chortled when I told her one of the anti-Katie Joy throng told me I'd left one cult, IBLP, for another. Like what? My therapist is usually pretty professional, but she couldn't help herself. I'm so sick of drama everywhere, even in my own. You're working your backside off on this trial. Many days the content isn't easy. I'd say quite sufficient. She's just grabbing everything from the Sun or Reddit. That is really having great boundaries, Katie. There must have been deletes because I've seen some other comments, but there must be stuff deleted. Oh no, there's more here. Apparently, these people are just jealous because Katie has all the real and best sources. Yeah, the Sun. Oh, because somebody on the Duggar Snark Reddit was actually at the Katie said that she had somebody at the court that was feeding her information. Now, somebody from the Duggar Snark Reddit posted this, was actually there, and is going to and wrote a report about which there is no way she could have there is no way Katie Joy can have a source in the court. So it says trial day 1. Trial begins at 8:30 a.m. If you're going to use my info on other sources, at least credit me. You know who you are. And I think she's talking about Katie Joy. But thank you to this person on Reddit. So jurors are outside the courthouse. They get their temperature scanned and fill out COVID survey. This person says 8:25 arrived on the 4th floor in the overflow courtroom. No one was allowed in the courtroom except counsel, defendant, and potential jurors. They told me to go to the 2nd floor, but no one was there. So I went to the 5th floor to ask where the overflow courtroom was. I was able to see the courtroom where the trial will be. Then I made my way down to the 4th floor. There are about 13 people in the overflow courtroom where there is audio only, so they can't see anything. There is 1 sketch artist, 3 law students, 7 local and national reporters, 1 unknown, and me. Everyone is very friendly and help to pass the time during the dead times today. So I don't know how she's saying she's got somebody in the court giving her information when they can't even get into the courtroom. They have to sit in an overflow room. And on that particular day, they were the people that were mentioned. So we know she's getting all her information from the Sun, because they are the only media agency that's, well, one of the few media agencies that can actually have technology there. So then she talks about a podcast called the Sojo Files. Josh Duggar viewed multiple videos. And again, I don't know how people know this or she's done this. Apparently he also attempted to access BitTorrent and dark web for years. And then she says, check out Sojo Files for the details. Why would I want to go to Sojo Files for the details? Apparently Spotify. And these people are also podcasting every day after the trial. Guess where else somebody else would be getting their information from, hey? Oh dear. So that's, she's doubling down on the fact that she doesn't want people to send her stuff about body language experts because she knows what she's doing. But remember, she was the one that said that Josh Duggar was also smiling under his mask. Don't forget that. Oh, really? You've never entered the dark web? Well, I'm sure Katie Joy will give us the instructions on how to do it at some point in time. Give her enough time. She seems to be awfully fascinated by it, to be honest with you. I just find, in my opinion, there's a really horrible fascination with it. I don't know. It worries me. I mean, I hope she's not viewing any of that stuff in earshot of her son either. I mean, what on earth would he be hearing? She wouldn't know, yeah. Yeah, although she says that she has no drama with Amy planned to create. She said that in one of that posts, that there's no drama there. That her relationship with Amy is fine. There is no beef or drama. And to keep your drama to yourself, well, she needs to do the same thing. I just love how everyone says, you're working your backside off. You're working your backside off. How is she getting all this information if she's not getting it from if she's not getting it from the Sun? They are just jealous of the professional, articulate way you share the real news. Ignore the haters. Oh, dear me. Oh, no way. Oh. So, yeah, of course she's going to say that. But I did note somebody asked about the trip to, why is it? Oh, I can't, because I can't get the whether there was an update on the harassment, and she said there was no comment on that. Another person said about, well, how did she feel then when she wanted you there and you're not there for her? So her people think that she's that Amy Duggar wants her there. So it's bizarre. It really is bizarre. Like, she's not put anything on her WOACB official Twitter either for a couple of days. So it's all been on Instagram. I wonder if it's on. Has anyone checked out her Facebook? Should I? Or am I just going to be freaked out? I never check it either. Don't worry, plan to create. I'm not in there. So it looks like. So this is her Facebook page. So it looks like whatever she posts on Instagram, whatever she posted on Instagram, she gets posted here. The Sojo files. Who put? You give us good information. Love your take on things, especially this troll covering hard things. Same as for the trolls. Here's a quarter. Call someone who cares. Body language is a very acceptable way. So yeah, it's essentially what she posts on Instagram. She posts on Instagram, but with different people commenting. So what I find apparently she's away. There is a commentary channel on YouTube. It doesn't say join Katie Joy daily as she covers trending topics in reality TV. It doesn't say she's a reporter though. Let's have a look at the reviews. No, recommend. So she's got a 1 out of 5 based on the opinion of 19 people. Terrible human, absolute garbage, very poor ethics, cuts out pieces of videos to make people and situations look bad, reports false information and makes statements unjustified by facts. WOACB is nothing but fake and toxic person. I would not recommend watching her unless you like being blocked, talked down to, or lied to. Not worth anyone's time. This woman is a lunatic. She sits online for 16 plus hours a day, stalking her victims like a serial killer. She's evil, narcissist, and is a danger to any social media community. She's currently facing 2 lawsuits and a class action, with more on the way. Her subs are just as disgusting as her. This woman doxed me and spread it all over her page, all because I don't support the ugliness that surrounds her. She is a drunk and gets prescribed Adderall, to which she abuses big time. The amount of photos, videos I have of her putting people down, it's unbelievable. This woman still exists on here after the fraud scheme she pulled a couple of years ago with all the excuse to help her fragile child who she gives no crap about. I cannot wait to see this reach finally to platforms. Do you think that person... I think she may regret engaging with Keemstar. Sure she will, and the Duggars too. We all know other litigants. Katie Joy Paulson is a lunatic. She steals other people's work and will not credit them. Oops. I'll have to cut that out. She's single whites, females. Wait on. YouTuber Emily D. Baker every week, copying her content, vernacular, and even mannerisms while sitting online 16 hours a day, at least while neglecting her medically fragile son. She's gross. The owner of this page on many occasions spread lies and misinformation about Christians. She's had several defamation lawsuits because of her lies, speculating about a person's sexuality, and has doxed many on her YouTube channel. Currently, there is a class action lawsuit pending and 2 other pending defamation lawsuits served on the 18th of October. This woman makes her money by monetizing on her YouTube channel by using Family's Trauma, Gabby Petito, for example, and many others. There is currently many people contacting YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter to ask her for her to be deplatformed because of her behaviour. Yes, she does, and she believes in... She hates anyone who believes in God, will dox, stalk, and harass them. All her stories are nothing but lies. I don't know how anyone trusts her. A wannabe reporter, copies from other articles, has no idea what she's doing, a true bigot. She's dangerous and a pathological liar. Disgusting, bullying, harassing behaviour against women at a time of need. Unjustified comments about a topic she had little knowledge of. Horrible, horrible person. Spiteful, judgmental, ill-informed, non-evidence-based claptrap. A bully and a troll, goes against her own ethos to garner likes and comments, and harass women going through personal tragedy. Kicking someone when they are at their lowest ebb is the most disgusting action a human can take. Her articles are blaming and shaming parents for bad experiences they've been through. How about putting some positivity out there in the world instead of spreading the toxic stuff you write? She thrives on negativity. This author has no medical education, credentials, or background, yet posts vile articles shaming mothers on their pregnancy decisions when resulting in a loss. This page is filled with nothing but disgusting toxic topics and comments from ignorant sheep who also stalk, bully, and harass women on the web. Disgusting. Only decent if you're into bullying, discrimination, and judging people. I cannot believe like this exists. Judgmental, unkind, misinformed, non-evidence-based page. Avoid. Bullying behaviour is not acceptable. There you go. So 1 out of 5 without a crystal ball got. Wow. They don't like her. However, I would say that they're pretty spot on, in my opinion. There's 37,000 people that like the page and 42,000 follow the page. Entertainment website, a blogger. See, look, it says on her Facebook page she's a blogger. So there you go. Stop posting the names of these videos. It's irresponsible journalism. And your posts are like a gold mine to pedos between the names and the depths of descriptions. Someone says the names are also in the court filings, are publicly available. I don't believe they are. They would be in the court filings. I believe that they would be redacted. Right, I've seen in my feed and I hit don't recommend, so it's your superior reporting, that's why they had him. Apparently she has no drama on her channel. You always do your homework before you create your content, and I appreciate it. The negative comments from others come from a place of jealousy. They can't stand that you outshine them when it comes to reporting on stories. Oh, dear me. Anyway, on that note, I'm going to love you all and leave you all. I'll see you all tomorrow. Hopefully, we've got a little bit more fun stuff to deal with than this. I know yeah, well, the only homework she does is checks Reddit and the Sun. So, in my opinion, because a lot of the stuff that she says, if you look at what the Sun said, the Sun's written it and then she's said it. So, it's funny. It's not funny, but it's quite sad. Anyway, I'm going to catch you all later. Thank you for joining me. Make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. My sub count is all over the place at the moment. It's going up and down and round and all over the place. But I believe YouTube does unsubscribe people sometimes, so just check that you're subscribed. Otherwise, I will thank you for watching, and I'll catch you again next time. Bye for now.